Well, hello, it's Mornin, and it is good to be with you on Wednesday morning. We're looking at three verses this week, and I forgot to mention on Monday I called this series "Focus" because I think these three verses are important to snap us into focus for what the world is throwing at us these days. The first couple of verses we looked at were out of First Corinthians chapter 6, 19 and 20. For you are not your own; you were bought at a price. We're going to move on and look at some verses out of Esther. And I think it is just a fantastic story. I know I've spoken on Esther before in these devotionals. I just want to mention this again, but there have been some movie treatments, so to speak, of Esther, and they're okay, but I don't like. Esther has got it all in terms of an exciting storyline. It is, I think, one of the unheralded, underestimated books in the Old Testament. It just is. It's awesome. Great story. Uh, but here we are again, just talking about the fact that the world is throwing us some curveballs, major curveballs. And we talked about on Monday that you are not your own; you were bought at a price, and that whose price are you living for? Are you living for the world's call on you, or are you living for your Savior's call on you? I want to follow that up with Esther 4:14. It says, "For if you keep silent at this time, relief and deliverance will rise for the Jews from another place, but you and your father's house will perish. And who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this?" So this is Esther's cousin or uncle. Forgive me, I don't recall which. I think it's her cousin, is challenging her to step forward and speak to the king to save the Jewish people, to save her people. And she's nervous, understandably nervous about it, because this king was capricious, and people not doing what he wanted or stepping on his toes, so to speak, giving him offense. And let me tell you, giving him offense meant just something that he wasn't happy with. You could be being perfectly reasonable and he would take offense, and you could lose your life. This was a serious risk. For her to step in where she wasn't invited and suggest that the king take action to save her people, that was a big deal for a queen to do. So she was nervous, understandably so. Um, but Mordecai is saying, "Hey, listen, um, this is important. And if you don't step up, the Lord will do the work, but you don't want that. You want to be the one." And then he challenges her with a second piece of the verse, the last sentence. It's a question. "And who knows? Do you know? Who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this?" We need to remember that too. We need to remember that. There are difficult things that standing for the truth requires of us. And when you sense that call that God has put on you, it might just be a little thing to, "I think I need to say such and such to so and so," or "I think I need to stand up and be counted amongst this in this debate," or I need to care for this person, and in the way that I'm going to do it, I may upset them, I may offend them, whatever, I don't know. I need to stand against this injustice, whatever it is. If you sense that the Lord is calling you to do that, then do that. And there may be risks. There might be great personal risk to you. I think by and large, so far we're safe from physical risk, but there may be emotional risk, or there may be professional risk in terms of a job, or relational in terms of friendships. There may be risk. But who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this? You are not your own. You were bought at a price. And who knows? The Lord may be tapping you on the shoulder because this is your moment. You don't know how big or how small or what the result will be, but that's not what the Lord calls you to. The Lord doesn't call you to worry about the result. He calls you to faithfulness. Who knows whether or not you have come to the kingdom, come to this moment in time to stand up for the faith, to stand up for what you believe in, for such a time as this. If we are going to affect any kind of change amongst our culture, it is not going to be through the politics and the laws. Politics and laws are downstream of the people in the culture. The people in the culture are what change. Their attitudes convince the politicians to change the politics and the laws. We are not our own. We were bought with a price. That's the first thing to have under our belt. And then to remember that we have been placed here for such a time as this. God is calling us to stand for his truth. Remember that. All right. That's what I've got for you this morning. Well, hello, it's morning. We'll be back on Friday. We'll see you then.